That is, I mean, gradualism works, uniformitarianism, I mean, works very well with a lot of things, but when you talk about the gravity, loss of gravity, if the Earth is slowing down, wouldn't the farther away the moon would get, the faster it would move? So possibly millions of years ago, it was not moving at 2 to 3 inches a year. It was maybe moving 2 to 3 inches per 100,000 years or 10,000 years.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned, I don't know if it's a linear line back in, or geometric, or logarithmic progression.
You know the equations for gravity, and you know he's absolutely right that as the farther you get away, the weaker the gravity, so it will move farther. As the farther it goes, it'll move faster. It'll move much more slowly when it's closer, and it could sit there for billions of years and move 100 millionth of an inch a year, 100 millionth of an inch. As soon as it gets out there, wham, gravity starts to fade, out it goes. That's perfectly consistent with the laws of gravity.
Get your calculator home and figure that out. You'll find out that it puts a time limit of way less than billions of years. It doesn't fit the evolutionist time scale of 4.6 billion years ago, and then life coming here 3 million years ago.
The evolutionists don't claim that the moon was put into orbit 4.6 billion years ago. They claim there's people out there that claim the moon was a capture, and they don't know the date of the moon. They're not claiming it was all made at once. The evolutionists don't say that for a minute. I don't even believe them, but I know they're not saying that.
Okay, I know the capture theory has been disproven mathematically numerous times. That's
the same mathematics that'll show you that it's not moving out at the same rate all the time, and this
I understand that. Sure, the inverse square law.
We're right. Choosing which hunks of the math we're going to believe here. That's pretty shaky.
No. I'm just saying these are some facts. The moon is leaving us. That's all I said. My interpretation of the fact, I did not put in the fact column. I said this is the fact. Today, as we observe it, it's moving. It's leaving. How you want to interpret that is up to you. If you choose to interpret that it started on the surface of the Earth in Utah as a big lump and left us, or the Pacific Ocean, that kind of theory, the creationist would say there is not a problem with the creation viewpoint. If the world's only 6 or 7 or 10,000 years old, and the moon was created 220,000 miles away, and it's now 240,000 miles away, big deal. It has no effect. It is leaving us. That's a fact. Let me give you a few more. The sun is burning. As the sun burns, it throws off billions of tons every year of matter. It is losing mass. We observe it happening. Now, there's a great argument going of how does the sun burn? Is it by gravitational collapse, or is it by nuclear processes? The evolutionists assume it is by nuclear processes because of the severe problem that occurs if it is gravitational collapse. Nobody knows for sure what makes the sun burn. We do know as it burns, it's losing weight. Enormous amounts are flying off into space. Nobody questions that. It is losing mass. Sun loses mass. And consequently, it has been observed for 300 years that the sun appears to be losing diameter also. When they first began to measure the sun 300 years ago, Royal Observatory in Greenwich has kept careful records. The sun's diameter on a chart, on a graph of time over diameter, the sun has oscillated as, gas bubbles and things, whatever's going on in there. But the sun has had a general overall trend of shrinkage. The 300-year average indicates the sun is shrinking as much as maybe 5 feet every hour. This would lend credence to the fact that the sun is burning by gravitational collapse, plus the fact that there have been no neutrinos. If it is indeed a nuclear reaction, there ought to be neutrinos, and all the experiments in the deep wells have indicated no neutrinos. Now, that question is still being argued. I am fully aware of that. But the size has been decreasing, the mass has been decreasing. To the creationist, that's no problem. That's expected. To the evolutionist who wants me to think this process has been going on for billions of years, it becomes a serious problem. Be it logarithmic or linear, you still have a problem. You have a time limit. This universe cannot be billions of years old. So I see no reason to reject the 6 to 10,000 year date given in Scripture. There's no scientific reason to reject that, and I think there are some great scientific reasons to accept that. I think there are some great scientific reasons to reject evolution as far as the time scale. Time, billions of years, is really only the first obstacle that evolutionists must overcome. If this theory of the general theory of evolution would go something like this. Let me simplify it down and show you where my objection is. The general theory of evolution, as it is taught in the books, says 20 billion years ago, and some say 15, some say 25. We're going to pick 20 as a reasonable average, okay? Thank you, sir. The evolutionist is going to say 20 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang. Now, what exploded and where did it come from is a whole other argument. The creationists will get all in trouble. The evolutionists will say, well, you believe in the beginning God. Where did God come from? But the evolutionist starts off in the beginning dirt or matter, and they don't know where that came from. Really, both are philosophical worldviews, which is my whole point. We are teaching a religion to our kids in school. They say we can't have religion in the schools. We've already got it. Evolution is a religious worldview, the general theory of evolution. 20 billion years ago, something exploded. Now, where it came from, they don't know. 4.6 billion years ago, Earth cooled down into the glob that it is today. I think there are many scientific problems with both of these, which I could go on for hours if you want. But then, somewhere about 3 billion years ago, life arose from this dirt, rock, matter, non-living material. Life arose from non-living material by some process, whether it's Miller's experiments or whatever. That's what is taught in our books. Life arose about 3 billion years ago. Really, it is spontaneous generation. No matter how you want to label it or color it or package it, they do believe and teach spontaneous generation.
It's the dust of the earth, it says that right in the Bible.
Sure. But the dust of the earth from the creation involves an intelligent creator. God can take the dust and put life in it. The dust itself cannot put life in itself. That's the big, big difference. Then, as things went along for 3 billion years, this life somehow began to reproduce. Reproduce itself. Going from dirt to life is a gigantic jump. Going from life to reproducing life is another gigantic jump. Okay? But this is what is taught in our books. This reproducing life, then, as time goes along, produces variations. These variations, eventually, over the next so many X number million or billion years, produce all the different kinds of life we have today. The basic kinds. Is that the general theory of evolution? I say, this begs the question. What exploded and where did it come from? In order to have a Big Bang, you must start with two things. You must start with some matter and some energy. Enormous amounts, actually, of both.
Actually, a little tiny bit of energy, not much, or matter actually. Hardly, not enormous amounts of matter at all.
But you got to have some matter. What exploded?
Little tiny.
I know, the textbook says 4.6 or 20 billion years ago, all the matter in the universe was concentrated into one very dense, very